Somewhere in your kitchen right now sits a glass that should be clear and isn't. You tipped it toward the window after washing, and there it was, a dull, cloudy film, the kind no amount of scrubbing seems to lift. Most people blame the dish soap and go buy a different bottle. A braver few tried making their own, watched it turn to cloudy sludge in a jar, and decided the old ways just don't work anymore. They were wrong on both counts. The reason those dishes won't come clean is barely about the soap at all. It's the water itself. To be exact, it's hard water, mineral-loaded water that pours from about 85% of the kitchen taps in America, and almost nobody thinks to blame it for what's on their dishes. The cleaning industry has known what it quietly does for 100 years and had not one good reason on earth to spell it out for you. Give this a few minutes, because by the end, you'll know exactly how that hard water wrecks both the bottle you buy and the soap you might make yourself, and how the families who came before us beat it for pennies, using one cheap powder that almost nobody explains correctly. This is not another Grate a Bar and Hope video. Those leave out the single step that decides whether you end up with clean glasses or a jar of cloudy goo. And yes, this works even if your water is hard, even if you've tried a homemade recipe once before, watched it fail, and quietly gone back to the bottle. Here's the part nobody at the store will mention. Hard water isn't some rare misfortune. The U.S. Geological Survey puts it in the large majority of American homes. Water earns the label hard the moment it carries more than about 7 grains of mineral per gallon, roughly 120 parts per million. And you can check your own with a $1 test strip or your city's water report. What it's carrying is dissolved calcium and magnesium, scrubbed out of limestone and rock on the long way to your faucet. You can't see them, you can't taste them, but you have met them. They are the reason your hands feel slick and filmy after washing with soap instead of squeaky clean. They are the white crust climbing your shower head. They are the ring around the tub. And they are the reason a glass comes out of the sink looking like it's wearing a little fog. The Geological Survey actually describes hard water in almost those same plain terms. Your hands feel slimy, and your drinking glasses stop looking clear. This isn't bad luck. For most of the country, it's just Tuesday. Now, here is where it turns, and here is the one idea the whole thing rests on. Most of us toss around 2 words as if they mean the very same thing: soap and detergent. They do not. And forgetting that difference is the exact reason people believe the bottle is magic and homemade soap is a scam. Real soap is ancient. People were boiling fat with plain wood ash to make it almost 5,000 years ago, long before anyone had a word for the chemistry. The chemists eventually pinned a stern-sounding name on it, saponification, but don't let that scare you off, because what it describes is almost insultingly plain. Take a fat, add a strong alkali, the kind our great-grandparents leached straight out of that same wood ash, and what you're left with is soap. Nothing more mysterious than that. Whole households once cooked up a winter's worth in a pot out in the yard, and it cleaned beautifully. But it cleaned beautifully for a reason almost everyone has forgotten. The wash water back then was often soft rainwater caught off the roof in a barrel. Because here is the catch with real soap. When it meets the calcium and magnesium in hard water, it doesn't simply clean a little less. It reacts. The soap and the minerals lock together into a sticky, stubborn film. That film has a name you already know: soap scum, and the chemists have a name for it too: calcium and magnesium stearate, the very same stuff that rings your bathtub. That ring isn't dirt. It is your own soap, turned to stone by the water. Which means a good share of the scrubbing going on out there is really just people politely chipping away at yesterday's soap. And every bit of soap that turns to scum is a bit that never once touched your dishes. So, somebody set out to fix it. During the First World War, with the fats for soap suddenly scarce, German chemists built the first thing that cleaned like soap but wasn't soap. They called it a detergent. It was synthetic, made in a lab, and it had one gift that changed everything. It did not react with the minerals in hard water. No scum, no film. The cloudy glass finally came out clear. In 1933, Procter Gamble carried the idea to America with a product called Dreft, and it caught on fastest exactly where you'd guess, across the hard water country from the Midwest to the Rockies. A little over a decade later, the same company rolled out Tide, and synthetic detergents, the cleaners that simply shrug off hard water, became the everyday standard. That's the honest history. The bottle in your cupboard is not a con. It is a real answer to a real problem that your grandmother's soap genuinely had. So, where is the villain in all of this? The villain isn't that somebody invented the bottle. The villain is what happened to the word. Over the decades, soap and detergent quietly melted into one blurry idea in everybody's mind, until folks simply stopped knowing there had ever been a difference. Stopped knowing that soap is something you can still make in your own kitchen for almost nothing. Stopped knowing that the only reason it ever let you down is a problem you can fix for about $1. Nobody banned that knowledge. They did something quieter and far more effective. They just stopped reminding you it was ever there. After all, there is no advertising budget on this earth for a thing you could make yourself for the price of a candy bar. So here is the fix, and here is the step the make-your-own videos breeze right past. The answer is a cheap powder called washing soda. Not baking soda, washing soda. They sound like cousins, and chemically they nearly are, but they do different jobs, and quietly swapping one for the other is where a lot of recipes fall apart. Washing soda is sodium carbonate, also sold as soda ash, and it does one quietly brilliant thing. It grabs hold of the calcium and magnesium in your hard water and ties them up so they are too busy to gang up on your soap. With the minerals out of the way, the soap is finally free to do the job it came to do, which is lift the grease off your plates instead of hardening into scum. That is the one step the grated recipes always skip. Soft water, or water you have softened yourself, is the entire difference between your great-grandmother's spotless glasses and a jar of cloudy regret. And the whole setup runs you about what one bottle from the cleaning aisle costs, except this lasts for months. You start with a plain, pure bar of soap, castile, or any honest, unscented bar. Skip the soft, moisturizing kind, which is really just lotion wearing a soap costume. Grate about half of it into a heat-proof jar. Pour in a few cups of boiling water and stir until it melts, a minute or two. Then stir in a few spoonfuls of washing soda. Slip on a glove while you do it, and keep the box clearly labeled and well out of reach of the children and the curious dog, because washing soda is mildly caustic. It isn't dangerous. It just isn't a snack. Cap the jar and let it rest overnight. Come morning, it will have firmed into a soft, scoopable gel. One spoonful clears a full sink of dishes, and a single bar keeps an ordinary kitchen going most of a season. Now, let's be straight with each other, because the videos that swear this will replace every cleaner in your house are setting you up to be let down. This is wonderful for everyday dishes, plates, glasses, cups, the ordinary grease of an ordinary supper. It is not a miracle degreaser. A roasting pan with blackened, baked-on drippings is still going to want to soak in hot water and a little elbow grease first. This gel is a gentle, patient worker, not a paint stripper. And if your water is extremely hard, and in places like Las Vegas, San Antonio, or Indianapolis, it runs 15 to 20 grains a gallon, some of the hardest in the country, you may need a touch more washing soda, plus a second trick the old kitchens leaned on. Add a splash of plain white vinegar to the final rinse. Vinegar is a mild acid, and acid dissolves the last of that mineral film right off the glass, so it dries clear instead of foggy. That's not folklore. That is the very same chemistry the scum is made of, simply run in reverse. The modern fix for all this is a whole house ion exchange water softener, $500 to $3,000 installed. Worth it for plenty of homes. But look at what it actually does. It pulls the calcium and magnesium out so your soap can finally work. $1's worth of washing soda does the very same job, for the dishes at least. And here is a small gift the soap companies will enjoy even less. If you can't find washing soda on the shelf, you can make it yourself. Spread plain baking soda in a thin layer on a baking tray and put it in a low oven for about half an hour. The heat quietly drives part of it off as gas and leaves washing soda behind. The same powder made in your own kitchen out of a box that costs about $1. Your oven just ran a little chemistry experiment while you weren't even watching. There's one more reason the old way is worth keeping, and it'll be told honestly too. The early detergents leaned hard on a booster called phosphate, and when all that phosphate washed downstream, it fed enormous blooms of algae that smothered the life out of lakes and rivers, bad enough that governments eventually had to step in and rein it in. Plain soap and a little washing soda don't do that. They are simple things that break back down into simple things. Nobody here is going to pretend a jar by your kitchen sink saves the planet. That's the same overpromising we just spent the whole video untangling. But it does mean what runs off your plates and down your drain is about as plain as dishwater gets. And there is a quiet kind of dignity in that. So here's the whole of it. The bottle isn't evil, and the old way isn't magic. There is just one plain fact sitting in the gap between them that nearly everybody forgot, that soap and detergent are two different things, and that the only reason soap ever failed you is a handful of invisible minerals you can knock out for the price of a candy bar. The people washing their dishes 100 and 200 years ago were not cleverer than we are. They had simply never been talked out of understanding how their own kitchens worked. That knowledge didn't vanish. It was only misplaced. And misplaced things have a way of turning up the moment somebody finally bothers to look. So, look in your own cupboard this week. Washing soda, one honest, unscented soap bar, a jar you already have on a shelf, and a splash of vinegar for the rinse. That's the entire list. And while you're at it, tell us down in the comments what your glasses look like coming out of the sink, crystal clear, or wearing that stubborn little fog, and just how hard the water runs where you are. Next time, we'll get into the forgotten reason your clean towels and sheets still come out faintly gray, and the cheap old fix that pulls years of hidden buildup right back out of them. Most kitchens already have it sitting in a cupboard, and almost nobody knows what it really does.